I'm going to challenge you this week. I'm going to challenge you to treat yourself good, really good. Like treat yourself awesome. Respect yourself. Be kind and loving to you. That's what the challenge is. So, what do we got to do? We got to notice how we talk to ourselves. How do you talk about yourself? And the challenge is when you become aware of that, to stop and to shift it. Like this is about setting a boundary for yourself to immediately say, I'm not going to feed this negative self-talk. Okay. So this means you got to respect yourself. And there's I want you to think of 3 C's here. Okay. This means no complaining. So there's 1 C, complaining. No complaining about yourself, your body, any mistakes that you've made. The second one, no criticizing. Okay. No judging yourself, no putting yourself down. Look for anything, past, present, or future. And then no condemning. Okay. So, or berating yourself or your body, or again, anything, past, present, or future. So the 3 C's: no complaining, no condemning, no criticizing. So the last few weeks, we've really been diving into self-reflection, right? Creating healthy boundaries for ourselves, creating healthy relationship with ourselves. So last week, it was more about personal boundaries, right? Just where do you need to set some boundaries for yourself? So in your doing, in your resting, in your self-care, right? No people pleasing, get rid of that perfectionism stuff. And you want to continue practicing that, of course, always. It's going to help you out in this challenge this week. And the week before that, it was about, the awareness. Put yourself first. Are you putting yourself first? Or are you just doing what everybody else is expecting? Or again, that people pleaser? Are you just, making sure everybody else is taken care of first? And in that, I brought in these 4 A's. They're not my 4 A's. They're from Deepak Chopra, and in the Ayurveda. But it's attention, right? Acceptance, appreciation, and affection. So this week, with the challenge yourself to bring attention to your negative self-talk. Okay. Now, we're also, not only do you bring attention to this negative self-talk, but you're going to embrace this inner critic. Okay, so we're going to embrace this inner critic. No condemning the inner critic, no criticizing, right? No complaining about this inner critic. Just notice it. Okay, now, why is this important? Well, first of all, we have to bring awareness to this negative self-talk. And that's important because how you treat yourself or how you talk to yourself, the things you do and say about yourself, this sets the bar. This teaches other people how to treat you. How you treat yourself is how you're letting other people treat you, right? And what you'll tolerate. So if you're consistently criticizing and condemning and complaining about yourself, whether it's about your body or something you do or anything, you are giving permission to other people treat you that way too. And that's just not okay. This is where the self boundaries, the personal boundaries come in. Let's take care of us. Okay. Second, why is it important to embrace our inner critic? So we can learn. So we can learn from our inner critic and move on. Okay. Because if we don't learn from our inner critic, we just continue to condemn and complain and criticize. We stay stuck. Now, when I say learn from our inner critic, that doesn't mean you believe what your inner critic is saying. Because if you can step back, you become curious. I'm not going to believe this negative self-talk, but I'm going to embrace this inner critic because I get something to learn from it. So then it comes, so now we know the why. How? How do we do this, right? How do we shift the way we're speaking to ourselves when we notice we're in the negative? And how do we embrace this inner critic? This is where the 4 A's come in. So first of all, attention, bring attention to that negative self-talk. Like just bring awareness. It's okay. And that's what the challenge is. Bring awareness to your negative self-talk. Okay, am I putting myself down? Am I doubting myself? Am I complaining, criticizing, condemning, right? Bring awareness to it. That's the attention. Yes. Okay. Number two, second A is acceptance. And there's two things here. Acceptance of the talk. Okay. Because and we don't have to go down that rabbit hole of, where did I learn this self-talk? Is it even my words, right? Did I hear somebody, many, many years ago, or even last week, say something and I just decided to believe it and believe it. So acceptance of the talk, but not blaming, yeah, no, these were the words of my, one of my teachers or, my parents. No, we don't blame them. We just go, acceptance. Okay. Maybe these words are not even mine. But we also want to accept the inner critic, right? We all, and this is where acceptance comes in. We all have an inner critic. We all do, right? So if we tell ourselves, I have to get rid of or fix this inner critic, we're going to be stuck in that loop. Okay. I accept I have an inner critic. I accept that my inner critic is talking right now. Okay. Then we appreciate, there's the third A. Thank you, inner critic, for showing up. Because now I know that you got something that you can teach me about myself, right? So and again, there's that curiosity. Move out of, condemning your inner critic or criticizing your inner critic, right? It's just a loop of negative self-talk. How do you stop it? You got to embrace it all, okay? Your inner critic has something to teach you. Are you willing to listen? Okay. And then the fourth A is affection. So this is where you can shift. And this is the major step, right? Talk to your inner critic like you would talk to like your child, or if you have grandchildren, or your best friend, right? It's like, so if you hear like somebody you love deeply criticizing themselves or condemning themselves or, doubting themselves or, whatever it is, putting themselves down, right? You're like, no, oh my gosh, right? And you're going to say all these wonderful things to them because you see them differently. You see them, through the eyes of love. So this is what we have to do with that inner critic. We don't condemn our inner critic. We have it. I don't have to get out of the idea that we have to actually fix this inner critic or get rid of it. Instead, we embrace it. Say, no, we're going to shift this. It's a different way that I can talk to myself. Okay. So that's what the intention is this week. Okay. Awareness of your negative self-talk, awareness of your inner critic, right? That one that puts you down or doubts everything or whatever, criticizes, complains, and condemns you. Then the challenge is to stop. Just stop. Become aware of that critic. Okay. And then you build self-respect for yourself. You start to change how you treat yourself by building respect with what? The 4 A's. Okay. So challenge yourself to treat yourself better so that you can set those boundaries. You can't set boundaries for other people to treat you better until you get this, healthy relationship with yourself. And that's what this week is all about. So let's tap this in. Okay. And we're going to tap this in with those 4 A's. So let's just start with just get out of your head. Okay, because that's where the inner critic lives, and come into your body. That's where movement comes in. Just come into your body. Just start to bounce. Breathe. Hey, out of my head, into my body. Okay. Right. And then let's just continue that. Let's just shake things out a little bit. Right. Shake it out. Like just, I do have an inner critic. I'm not trying to fix it. I'm not trying to get rid of it. I'm just, I've got an inner critic. Okay. We all do. March it out. And then just pick up one leg.
This just crosses our energy. This is an energy thing. So if you're coming out of your head, you're coming into your body, let's get some communication between the right and the left side of the body, right and left side of the brain. That's what this does. So we can get some clarity, okay? Not get consumed by this inner critic. Up into the belly, right? And then come all the way down on one leg, go all the way down. And again, it's really, I mean, there's so many benefits to doing this, the fascia, the body, but let's go energy. We're just coming out of our head and we're coming into our body so that we can see this inner critic for exactly what it is. We don't believe the inner critic, but we do know we have one. Okay, so I want you to rub your hands together and tap in underneath your eyes. So the inner critic also is all full of worry and anxiety. So that's where a lot of the negative self-talk comes in. So this is where we just bring attention to that. Yes, I realize right now in my awareness and my attention that my inner critic is talking to me. Okay. There's the attention to it. Then you come and you tap at the collarbone. Let's go into the second, acceptance. I'm going to accept that I have an inner critic because we all do. Okay, I'm going to accept that maybe these words are not even mine. Right? It's just, I'm accepting, I'm not trying to fix or get rid of this inner critic. I brought awareness to it, attention to my inner critic, and I'm going to accept. I'm going to completely accept this inner critic. Just breathe that in, right? We don't, we're not trying to get rid of it. Then we're going to come into the thymus. This is where appreciation comes in. Okay, inner critic, I'm not going to believe you. I'm not going to believe these words, but I'm very curious, right? And this is where the work comes in. We're the only ones that can do this. We're the only ones that can embrace our inner critic. We're the only ones that can shift this negative self-talk. So this is where the work comes in. I got to appreciate this inner critic. There's something I can learn from this inner critic, but I got to let go of the need to fix it or get rid of this inner critic. Just, again, bring in attention, acceptance, and appreciation. Thank you for showing up, inner critic. I'm not going to believe anything you say, but thank you for showing up. Okay. And then the fourth thump here is right here, the spleen points. And this is how we metabolize it all. Now, this is the next important step. This is where you're going to shift it. You're going to talk to yourself differently. You're going to say, yeah, I don't have to believe this about myself. I don't. This is where the shift happens. I'm going to treat myself and speak now to myself the way I would speak to, my best friend or our child, grandchild, whatever, whoever it is you love, that you just see through the eyes of love. Then you speak to your inner critic in that way. That's how we shift this. This is how we shift. Okay, so shake it out, cross your energy over from one shoulder to the other. Okay, so there's our challenge this week. Okay, awareness to that inner critic, that negative self-talk, right? Do the 4A's. Okay, so you just do your best. You do your best when you do this challenge, but it has the opportunity to shift and change everything for you. Okay, so have yourself a fabulous week, my friends. Contact me if you want. How is this challenge working for you? And we will see you next week. Namaste.